Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming tonight. This is in, this is a regular meeting of the Allendale Land Use Board at which formal action will be taken on the items listed in the agenda and upon any other matters which may properly come before the Land Use Board. The requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied through posting on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and on the borough website and by publication in the record on January 28th, 2023, with copies also being sent to the Ridgewood News. Certain agenda items will be open to the public for comment and/or testimony. The board will advise the public when such matters are open for their comment and/or testimony. We'll do a roll call first. We'll do the flag first. Linda, can you do roll call for attendance, please? Yes. Do the flag first. All right, we'll do the flag first. All right, would everybody join me for the flag and stay standing at the end, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd appreciate if everybody would stand. I'd like to have a moment of silence for Kevin Quinn, who recently passed. He was the chairman of the board, and if we could just take a moment, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, before we do the roll call, I'd like to just take a couple minutes on something. The last meeting that we had, I got a phone call just before the meeting started, and it was from Kevin, asking me to run this meeting. And, you know, as we all do, we've covered for each other, and we all knew, what had to be done. And it's unfortunate that Kevin Quinn passed at the end of May. So I prepared a couple comments here that I'd just like to put onto the record.
Can I say something before you do?
Yes.
So before you read, just for everybody who understands, Kevin Quinn was chairman of our land use board. He was chairman of our planning board for many, many years, served this community for upwards of 20 years. He got sick suddenly and passed to everybody's surprise. So that's why we're having this moment right now, for those of you who don't know Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you. So I just have a couple of prepared remarks I'd like to. As you all know, we suffered a loss here with the recent passing of our chairman, Kevin. Kevin was appointed to the board in late 2001, which was around the time that the townhomes were being built off of Allen Street, which was near where he lived. As time went on, he eventually rose to the position of chairman, and I had the honor of serving with Kevin on the planning board as well as this board since 2005. Kevin was a man of strong convictions, always looking to review the applications in an objective and forthright manner, balancing the borough needs and the requirements with those of the applicants, working hard to preserve the ambience and the Mayberry feel of Allendale. Allendale was his rock, and he loved this town and its residents. He raised his two daughters here and made a life with his wife, Susan, living in the same home for over 40 years. In addition to his service here on the Land Use Board, Kevin was an active member of the Holiday Observers, serving with present and past members of this board. I had the opportunity recently to spend some time with his wife, Susan, and she expressed to me how much she loved and was proud of the board and the work that it does and has done. He was grateful to its members and for the support of the mayors and under which he was appointed and served. As chairman, Kevin taught me and the others of this board the nuances and functions of it and how to evaluate an application on its merits and to work with borough officials and residents and their representatives to come to agreements on various land use applications and zoning requests. He was always available to all of us for questions or comments. He always welcomed varied opinions and the challenges that they would bring as applications were heard. But he always kept the compass on what was best for Allendale within the boundaries of the law that we have to evaluate through. Kevin led this board with compassion and a tenacity to do the right thing for all. He reminded us that the decisions that we make as this board and as residents on this board will fashion this town for years to come, and he took that responsibility very seriously. He leaves a lasting legacy on this town, and I hope to be able to work together to carry on his visions. Okay. Anybody else would care to say anything, please?
Thank you. Yeah, no, that was really well said. You know, you don't find somebody like Kevin who puts so much time into the community. I mean, he sat on this board for 20 somewhat years, and I only wish when I became mayor that I had more of an opportunity to work with him, but he was a pillar in the community and he will be missed.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, just quickly, like I had the opportunity. So as president of the Holiday Observers, Kevin was a past president. He was a mentor to me in a lot of things. He was devoted to the people of Allendale. He loves this community. He, to this board, he encouraged me when I moved here to get involved, and he really lobbied for me to get nominated to be on this board. Like I said, he was a mentor. He was a leader. He was a friend. He's somebody that's really going to be missed. And people of Allendale, I just hope everybody, had a chance to get to know him a little bit before he passed. He was taken way too early.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I'd just like to add my comments to it that certainly Kevin, who I got to know over the past few years, it's so important as a board member and especially as a board chairman is how you present yourself to the public. And I can't think of anyone better who presented themselves to the public when sometimes a board like this is the only time a member of the public or the community interacts with somebody, on a volunteer basis or, elected official basis. And he had an empathy for the residents here that is really unmatched in many of the boards that I see and sit upon in different communities. So he will definitely be missed, and I'm sad to see him passing.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else? All right. Well, again, I thank you for indulging us to make these comments, and we'll now move forward with our meeting. So, Linda, if you'd be so kind to do a roll call, please.
Board Member Bergen.
Here.
Board Member Petrino is absent. Board Member Kistner is absent. Councilman Delavatio.
Here.
Board Member Dallo.
Here.
Vice Chairman Sirico.
Here.
Mayor Wilsinski.
Here.
Board Member Warzala.
Here.
Board Member Butler.
Here.
Thank you.
We have to move on to election of the chairman and vice chairman of this board moving forward to fill Kevin's terms. Mayor?
So I'll make a motion to nominate Mike Sirico, who's been vice chairman for many, many years, to step in as chairman.
Thank you, Joe.
And
Thank
I
you.
second that.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Linda, roll call.
Board Member Bergen.
Yes.
Board Member Petrino.
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio.
Yes.
Board Member Dallo.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Sirico.
Yes.
Mayor Wilsinski.
Yes.
Alternate Rosala.
Yes.
Alternate Butler.
Yes. All of you, I just want to say thank you for trusting me and for your affirmation. I'm grateful for the support of the staff, professional, our residents, and everybody else. I especially want to thank Mayor Wilsinski for appointing me and everything going on here, and your trust, and as well as the past mayors, Mayor Klomberg, okay, and Mayor Barra and Mayor White and Mayor Bernstein for all their support and their appointments. I look forward to the challenges that we have, especially with some of this upcoming affordable housing co, or whatever we call it now, legislation, and in working to keep Allendale the town that we all love and moving it forward as we face these challenges. So again, thank you to everybody on the board. So, now.
Do we want to wait on the?
No, we can.
We can.
Pressured me.
Okay,
Pressure.
that was
I
quick.
didn't pressure anybody.
Okay.
So I would be honored to make a motion to nominate Melissa Bergen, who's been a member for many, many years. She's exhibited herself as a very good board member. She's very knowledgeable, participates very, very well. I think she's great for the people of Allendale. I want to nominate Melissa Bergen to be vice chair.
Excellent. I'd like to second that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to both. Melissa? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
You have to get a chance
All
to
right.
approve first.
I'm a little
So-
shocked. No.
Linda, if you would, please.
Board Member Bergen,
Yeah.
Can't say no.
Member
Okay.
Petrino,
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio.
Yes.
Board Member Dallo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Sirico.
Yes.
Mayor Wilsinski.
Yes.
Alternate Rosalo.
Yes.
Alternate Butler.
Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay. So now that we have this, we'll start to move the meeting forward again. Thank you for the trust in all of us again. Approval of minutes from the May 17th, 2023. Linda, I believe I forwarded you some comments and those were incorporated.
Yes.
Is there any other comments from any other board members, please, on here? No, seeing none. Can we have a motion, please, to accept the meeting minutes of the May 17th, 2023, please?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Linda, please.
Board Member Bergen.
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Sirico.
Yes.
Mayor Wilsinski.
Yes.
Alternate Rosalo.
Yes.
Alternate Butler.
Yes. Okay. We can
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as far as the public hearings are concerned, the first on our agenda tonight is file number LUB 2023-05, Michael Zioli and Samantha Danubio. This was carried over from our May 17th meeting, and we appreciate you coming back before us. Again, bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you. This is a application for a two-story addition and rear side yards pursuant to section 270-37A. It is a D variance, so I have to request that the mayor and Councilman Delavatio participate from the or observe from the audience, please.
So I nominate you and you throw me off.
Sorry.
The good news is we have enough voting members
Yes.
to proceed, so we will be able to move forward with their application today. You do need 5 affirmative votes for approval. You have 5 voting, actually 6 voting members tonight who will be able to participate in the hearing. So just wanted to put that on the record. I also put on the record that this public hearing was carried from the May meeting, and the notice was proper at that time. And in the May meeting, we made an announcement that no new notice would be required, so that the board does have jurisdiction to proceed this evening to hear your application. So if you could just, I don't know who will be testifying tonight. But
Would you like me to move this, or can everybody hear me?
Linda, do you want to move?
I think,
Is it on?
when you speak into it, you have to hold it down, which is kind of annoying. But if you speak loud enough, everybody may be able to hear you.
Would you care to sit?
No,
And
You could
Yeah,
sit.
sitting is fine.
yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Just if you could just raise
Yeah.
your right hand and state your name and address for the record.
My name is John Ferraro. I'm the architect of record for this project. My offices are on 37 Maple Avenue, U City, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth through the course of this application?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Uh,
What we do with that?
credentials.
Okay. Mr. Farrar, thank you very much for being before us and again for coming from
Thank
the
you.
last time. Would you please state your credentials and licenses, et cetera, please, for the record?
I'm a registered architect in the state of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, many others, 10 states in all. I have national certification with the NCARB. I've been a licensed architect for 33 years, and I own my own practice in New City.
Okay. All right. Thank you. It's
Is it
acceptable.
acceptable as an expert in the field of architecture.
All right. So again, you'll be representing the applicant. Okay. So,
And they're sitting right
and
behind
they're sitting, yep. And do you plan to any testimony at all? Okay. All right. So, this application is for 41 Elmwood. And again, it's a D variance for, floor area ratio, relief as far as some right side setback and left side setbacks. Please, if you would, summarize why you're before us, please, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
the Yolis are seeking two variants as defined in the denial letter provided by the Borough of Allendale on March 21st, 2023, to construct a two-story addition in the rear yard of their home. It is important to note the lot size of an existing non-conforming 50 feet wide, which results in the need for the variance. This non-conforming small lot reduces the allowable setback and FAR that are permitted in the Zone A. Additionally, this home is very small when compared to the newer homes built in the immediate area. The Yolis are seeking additional room in their kitchen, master bedroom, and master bathroom. I respectfully submit the following standards for variances to further support our request. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of the area variance. There will be no undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or nearby property. This addition is in the rear of the house and will not be seen from the street. The design was carefully considered as it relates to neighboring and adjacent properties and is in line with the scope and size of similar additions in the area. 2, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method which would be feasible for the applicant to pursue, but would not require a variance. No, the location of the proposed kitchen, master bed, and bath are immediately adjacent to existing rooms, minimizing disruption to the other parts of the home. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. No, the request for a variance is not substantial when considering the small lot size as mentioned above. 4, whether proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. No, the addition requires no additional kitchen facility or appliances. 5, whether an alleged difficulty is self-created. While the land hardship is self-created, the small lot size is not, as I mentioned earlier. Which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude granting of the area variance. Testimony has been requested from Banfield Engineering in a letter dated April 25th, 2023 as follows. Proposed building finishes, colors, and materials. Dated for the actual time existing conditions as it relates to finishes, colors, and materials. The condition and ownership of the existing fence encroachments. The owner states the wire chicken fence will be removed. This fence is shown on the survey. The proposed location of the AC unit will be on the west side of the house. This will be reflected in the final survey. There will be no tree removal. Testimony should address exterior lighting. 2 exterior lights will be located on either side of the proposed exterior door. They shall be listed for use in wet locations. Surface-mounted electric boxes for all electrical fixtures will be rain-tight and weatherproof. 1 exterior fire receptacle will be installed. An as-built plan and final survey will be provided at project completion as part of the request for the certificate of occupancy. The Yolis are very much in need of this addition. The house as it exists is very small and uncomfortable. This proposed space provides much-needed additional room in their kitchen, master bed, and bath. I am confident the design I propose meets their requirements with minimal effects on the zoning ordinance of the Borough of Allendale. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I mean, one quick thing that you said, no tree removal. We like that.
Yes.
Okay, we're real happy about that. We do know that the properties over there are tight. Okay, in that particular area. So we understand, the situation that you're in. The plans, everything. I mean, I've looked at the plans. I think that they look at everything, towards the back as you pointed out. That's board member. I'll open the floor. Board members, any questions, please? Unless you want to let Michael go first.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
Michael, if
So,
Please.
just a couple observations.
Thank you.
I mean, it is a significantly undersized lot, right?
Mhm.
So that sets the floor area ratio because that has dependent on lot size. And the floor area ratio kind of sets the intensity of use on the property.
Mhm.
And, so the standard for, an approval of a floor area D4 variance isn't as strict as a D1 use variance.
Mhm.
It's, to determine whether the site can accommodate the deviation, uh, notwithstanding that it's, not, it exceeds the allowable amount in the code. One thing that we are somewhat concerned about is the distance from the structure to the side property lines. I think the survey indicates that there's 5 feet on one side and 7 feet on the other. That's pretty tight. We're a little concerned about access during construction, constructability of the proposed addition without, crossing the property line and impacting the neighbor's property. And we did notice also that, the existing roof downspouts discharge onto the ground with the neighbor's property. So if the board was to consider approving the application, there would be some other steps that would have to be, addressed along the way. And one would be putting together a grading and stormwater management plan that would, we would recommend that plan be designed to accommodate the runoff from the entire roof area so that there's no negative impact to the adjoining property.
Would the applicant
Do you have-
be willing to accommodate the, do a grading and stormwater management plan in consultation with the borough engineer?
Okay, so we don't know the exact, amount of drainage that's already been designed into their rear yard. That will be discovered when we start digging, but certainly if that's not enough, they will be willing to cooperate and add perhaps Tech tanks or other mitigation, components.
Certainly, that's what we just asked the applicant to work in the field with the engineer in accommodating stormwater management so that there's no adverse impact on any neighbors, and especially with this tightness of the side yards. That's a critical element that the board is concerned about. So, we really they're gonna insist that make sure that there's no adverse runoff from the site.
Yes, and they're okay with that. And I did just explain to them that in all of the jobs I'm working on right now in my office, there is need for Tech tanks in additional mitigation, including my own house.
And then you had mentioned that there's going to be 2 exterior lights. Those are lights that are just associated with doorways. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not floodlights or anything
Correct.
like that.
Right.
And do you have any sense on whether there's enough room to get around the building to?
Well, the other side is
the work and everything?
the other side is 7.4. So I do see where you're noting 5.1. There's a couple extra feet on the other side, which I think would be the better way around. That's the side the addition is going on.
And is that enough for him to get equipment or?
Yeah, I guess my question is, do you believe that's, in your professional opinion, is that adequate space to be able to construct the addition that's being proposed in the variance?
I believe so. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but I think it's enough.
Please.
Has there been a existing topography condition, Mike, that was submitted so we could understand the topography of the neighboring properties and how it's affected? Because it's 7 feet, but there's substantial vegetation on the east side of the property where you're gonna have less than 7 feet. So,
Yeah, there was no grading plan that was put together.
so how are we gonna know how this affects the neighbors without a proper grading plan to see what the existing conditions are? Because if we're gonna grossly impact it after this is done, it's great that we're gonna keep the water on site, but how are we affecting the neighbors to the left and to the right of it without understanding what's existing today?
I mean, we did make a comment in our report that, a grading plan and stormwater management plan is necessary. Whether the board feels that should be provided up front or as a condition of approval, I would defer to the board on that decision, but we have worked with applicants before and granted the variance relief subject to them providing a grading plan and the stormwater plan showing that, the grading can be accomplished on their property without.
I don't think
Just
you can do-
something-
I don't
just
think you can do a
something-
grading plan without, I mean, I don't think you can do a mitigation plan without a grading.
It's not a mitigation, but you need to put, some sort of, site plan, it's more than a survey when you're looking for side yard relief. You just gave us a survey, and there's no site plan that we can look at. I mean, just to put it in perspective, a parking space is 9 feet wide. 7.4 with trees is less than a parking stall. You could drive by any shopping center, you could barely open a car door. So you're proposing I mean, it's tight. I don't see how it's gonna happen.
Well, let's first address the grading issue. Typically, I don't call for a topo on a survey if the grading is 5% or less. This is a flat piece of property, so is the house on either side.
But you're affecting the neighbors at some point.
Well, the effect of the neighbors is by what you're suggesting, by vehicles passing by.
Well, also, I'm concerned about the grading. I mean, you're gonna expand the FAR, so that means there's gonna be less impervious, which by virtue of less impervious, there's gonna be more runoff.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm worried about.
Yes, so that would be part of the mitigation plan,
Yeah.
series of culvert tanks.
I understand all that.
And then the grading would go back to the original grading. We're not creating any pitch or any slope.
I'd like to see it. So that's just my opinion. But
Well, part of any mitigation plan that I do comes with a topographic survey, which shows the grading, the topo, the sub base for the culvert tank, the calculations for the culvert tank, and how many cubic feet of water that we're taking off of the roof and so on.
I'm not looking for a geotech.
No, I'm just talking about a design.
I'm looking for a site plan, which
Right,
is
but
normal when you're seeking variance relief.
right. I'm not disagreeing.
So.
I would request that this be part of the approval, that we would get approval contingent upon having all of this as part of the construction drawings that we submit to permit. So that we can begin to move forward on the permitting side of this project.
Frank, if we had this information subject, to the work in the field,
I mean,
would you be willing to move it forward?
I'd like to see a site plan. I mean, I don't know how you're gonna, it's a 5-foot side yard and a 7-foot side yard, is very uncommon in this town. I mean, this is not, there's other municipalities where 5 feet is a lot. In Allendale, it's not, I don't know of many other places where there's 5 feet in this town. I mean, it's usually 20 feet, right? So we're gonna look at something and approve it based on, or contingent upon a site plan that's going to be submitted, and we're going to make a decision that could adversely affect the neighbors without having the information we need to make that decision. So I don't feel comfortable. The board may feel comfortable, but I'm just telling you, I don't feel comfortable just because of the side yard being 5.1 feet and 7.4 feet. I mean, I don't.
I mean, I have seen in my experience with I do work in New York City in 5 boroughs where we have 2 feet.
Yeah.
And
So does Cliffside Park and Fairview and every other town.
and they literally walk materials to the back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not uncommon.
My grandmother's in Williamsburg. You got to walk sideways to get to her.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't. That's not how it is here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, it's problematic. So
Do we know how close the adjacent houses are to the property line?
No, I don't have those.
Yes, because the only thing that we have is your survey. That's part of the packet of information.
Right, no proximity to
And
the
no
other
proximity.
houses.
Mhm.
Well, like I said in my narrative, there's no other place to have this addition. And then in that rear yard is where most of the space is available to us. And it's immediately adjacent to the existing kitchen and the existing master bedroom above. So, and coming out the front, we need a front yard variance, which I know is very difficult to get. So we labored over this, and the obvious location is in here.
And you're aligning the new addition in the rear with the existing.
Yeah, we're not increasing the non-conformity. I mean, we're increasing the non-conformity, we're not reducing it.
Yeah, reducing.
Are there neighboring, I don't recall, but do you know if the neighboring houses are set back about approximately the same distance?
Yes.
They're all pretty much in line.
Yeah, pretty much fine.
I have a question.
Please.
So, addressing the accessibility, so the footprint of the addition I see, and then I see in the patio, proposed patio. So is the addition gonna have a basement underneath it?
No, this addition is just, propose and basement foundation.
Okay.
I mean, if need be, it could be dug by hand if they can't get equipment back there. And I've seen that done many times. Not easy. You know, I've seen men lug wood and lumber. And I've seen concrete chutes that run 50, 60 feet from a driveway to a backyard. But you know, they can't get a vehicle back. It's not unheard of that you don't have a side yard. There's equipment out there that can do this.
There are photos provided of like 39 Elmwood and 69 Elmwood.
Yes.
Where are they located in relation to this?
So 69 is immediately to the right, and 39 is immediately to the left.
If you're facing them
You're looking from the street.
to the house there.
Yeah.
69 's to the right.
Go over the lower portion of the house with, with the chute. Flexible chute or concrete behind the house that has no side. That's an all different scenario. It's not possible. And really, it is the responsibility of the general contractor to ensure, as it says in my notes.
I'm
that
not so much
properties-
worried about the constructability. I'm looking at a satellite image, and this house has the smallest side yards on the property. So we're going to enhance that by allowing you to do an addition. 69, their driveway is in between 41 and 69. It's probably every bit of 30 feet. 39, again, next to 41 is tight. And 35, again, their driveway it's a side-loaded garage, so they have a decent distance between the neighbor and which there's about 62 feet between house number 21 and 35.
So I would ask if there's any neighbors in the audience that are objecting. Just to, you know,
Well, we will bring that
Yeah.
up. We will bring that up.
I'd be curious to hear their voice. We haven't gotten any objections from anyone.
I'm just telling you, for
I'm
me,
not
it'd be in your best interest to get a site plan. If you'd like to move forward, you can, but I'm not comfortable without seeing the proper grading and a site plan and how close you are to the neighboring properties and how they're gonna be affected. Because once it's approved, and if it doesn't work out in the field, then the residents, we didn't do our job. And I don't donate my time not to do my job. So.
Michael, thoughts?
You know, I hear what Frank is saying, and, you know, it's up to the board whether they feel comfortable, you know, and feel that that's information that's needed before they render a decision, or they want to leave it, if they were to act on it and approve it, you know, leave it in the hands of me and the construction board officials. We've done it both ways.
You've been faced with this before.
Yeah, but, I mean, but to Frank's point, these are the tightest side yards we've seen since I've been here.
John?
Normally, I've seen in some cases that, you know, have you approach neighbors in terms of, potentially buying property that have been addressed.
No, they did not entertain that option. They don't have that kind of funding.
Is this addition adding a bedroom to the house?
Yeah.
So we're going from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms?
Yeah.
Any other comments from the board? I'm gonna open up questions, comments of this witness from anybody in the audience, please. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. I mean, we've done this before where there's been, you know, where you're working with this out in the field with adjustments and work. Correct me, Michael, please.
If the board was, you know, if the board was to consider making this a condition of approval, I mean, the applicant has to realize that, you know, that doesn't necessarily, if the board approves, it doesn't necessarily mean it can be constructed if we're not satisfied with what may be provided at a later date. I mean, this would be step one in granting variance relief, but not necessarily ensuring that the project is constructible and can be constructed if we are not satisfied with the grading plans.
So in other words, there's a level of risk that the applicant would be taking on.
That's correct.
Correct.
Next plan.
Please.
We have to present something.
So I think the choice here is, you could adjourn the hearing and come back with it before, so that perhaps more members of the board would be satisfied with what they see, and also would have a chance to be reviewed before any vote by the borough engineer. Or you could take your chances on a vote tonight, knowing that you need 5 affirmative votes, and that it would still be subject to review, but if you didn't get 5 affirmative votes, you're denied.
And if we're denied and we come back with that information, would it be reconsidered?
No, you
I'm
can't
just
come
trying
back
to
with the
place-
same application.
Excuse me?
You can't come back with the same
So
application.
could we put in a new application? I'm just trying to save time here. We've been through a lot.
Yeah, but you can't, I understand that, but you can't come back with the same application, that's called res judicata, that you are coming forward with the same application that's already been denied. So that's not permitted. the board wouldn't be able to hear that again for a certain amount of time.
Hmm.
So it is, and I don't know the feelings of the board. I mean, you've heard comments from the board. You could take a straw poll of the board to see where they were so that the applicant would have a better idea of it before you proceed to a full vote.
That would be
That
very
might
much
be a
appreciated.
way to look at it.
Can I ask what's the benefit of moving ahead immediately with the process as opposed to waiting for the verification? What's the benefit if nothing is going to happen in the interim anyway?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, so I don't get
seems-
why we're putting ourselves at risk if there's no benefit to anybody.
I mean, and I guess to your point, meaning that if it was acted on tonight, there wouldn't be any building permits or anything that could be pulled, right? Until the resolution.
until the
was
resolution.
realized. But there's a process that has to be followed, and construction doesn't start tomorrow if the application is approved.
Right,
Yeah, so he's actually making my point, because that's time consuming. So I'd rather start that process with a contingent approval tonight, rather than delay it, because we have contractors we need to line up, we need to schedule, subcontractors and so on and so forth. It's very, very hard to get these guys available. Everybody's very busy. And we've been delayed with COVID, we've been delayed for a lot of different reasons. And I feel like I have a clear path moving forward in the construction document file to provide this topo, to provide this mitigation plan, and even give you a plan on how we're going to access the rear yard by protecting the sides. If this could happen simultaneous, rather than having to come back, schedule another meeting, because months just keep going by, and I'm sympathizing with my client here. It's been quite some time that has gone by.
And I can appreciate that. I just, the downside risk for you is if it gets denied, it's
Oh, I
denied
know.
and it's
So
over.
I think that's the straw poll, that would be nice to get a feel for how everyone feels. If we're feeling that we're not going to get approved.
It's a straw poll. It doesn't mean anything.
No,
Nobody's bound by it, and it's
Oh,
not
I
a real
understand,
vote.
but
So
that'll help us
it's
decide.
just everybody's opinion as to, where they are leaning at this point. It's up
What's
to the
it,
chairman.
I have no problems with the straw poll.
Yeah, so you
You
just
know,
say,
so-
maybe if everyone could just identify, go down the line and see where they feel on the status of the application at present without some of the information that some of the members believe that they need to make a full determination.
I can make one more comment. So
Please.
I see the addition, and I see the potential for the patio, and I look at that footprint, and I relate it to the existing house, and it's fairly significant. And I think, to Frank's point, is for us to evaluate this application, we would need more information, and really the site plan and the caps related to drainage and accessibility. We know it's tight, so maybe if your neighbor was here and made reference to the fact that we may encroach the property, and that would be acceptable. This is all information that would be very helpful to all of us now in helping to make a good decision. Okay. All right.
I think we probably have two people's opinion as to where they're going. I'm not putting words in their mouth, but I think they've said the statements themselves.
You want a site plan?
I'd like to see a site plan.
You want a site plan?
Okay.
Okay,
Fair enough.
all right.
So I'll have to explain to the owner what all of this means,
Okay.
and then we will. By the way, Linda, thank you so much for all your help. This woman is unbelievable. She's a gem.
Very good.
I work in hundreds of municipalities up and down the coast. To have someone like her is truly valued. Big help. Thank you. We will work with Linda on getting you this information. I will help the owners get a site engineer to put together a set of plans that I think will satisfy your request.
Okay, so what we'll do
And-
is we will carry this to the next meeting, which is in July,
July
at the
19th.
present time. Any plans must be submitted at least 10 days beforehand. There's no need for re-notification. This is a carry of the application. You don't need to resend out notices or republish, since I'm making this announcement now. And if you cannot accommodate that time frame 10 days before, which I know is difficult in the summer and things, please just contact Linda, as I know you've been in touch with her, to identify when that will be able to be accomplished.
And you will meet in July, but not in August.
We'll meet in August as well. Our plan is to meet, do we have the dates again, please?
July 19th and then August 16th.
Okay.
Yeah, we,
All right, so have to be July 19th because I'm on vacation that second day. It'll have to be done. Will the town engineer have an opportunity to review all of this before the meeting?
That's why we asked for submissions 10
10 days.
early.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 days.
Great.
Okay.
All
That
right,
information comes in, evaluated, everybody else sees.
Thank
Okay.
you. All right, very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Here you go. All right. All right, thank you. There, Joe? Okay. All right, next on our agenda is a C variance, application file number LUB 2023-06, Lauren and Rick Goldberg, 118 Greenway in Allendale, Block 801, Lot 39. Addition and a renovation of the existing home pursuant to 270-64A.
Mr. Chairman, I have had a chance to review the notice requirements for this application. I can report that the affidavit of service is proper. The publication was properly sent out to the paper of record and to the neighbors. So the board does have jurisdiction to move forward with this application this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to make.
Okay.
Okay. Linda, please, if you would just note that Melissa had to leave.
Yes.
Then we have it on the record, please.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And that Joe and the
And-
mayor resumed their positions of authority here.
Okay. Okay. Hello.
Okay.
Hello,
I'm
Mary. How are you
Mary
today?
Fro. I'm the B Plus Architect, 240 West Clinton Avenue. I'm the architect for the applicant. I'd probably request that we swear in Lauren as well, just in case she provides comments.
Very good. All right. You both raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth through the course of this application. All right. Thank you.
So that was really fun.
Get you
Hopefully you
excited.
don't have to do it again in a different court.
Yeah, exactly.
Future board member.
Mary, hang on for,
Yeah.
I just wanted, Council, Mary's been before us multiple times.
Yeah, I just
okay.
your professional qualifications and we'll
So-
accept you as
I
a.
usually
Please.
would
All right, go ahead.
really, I
Thank you.
think this may be the first time this year, maybe. So a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. I'm a partner at Z Plus Architects. We've been in business for over 20 years. I've appeared before this board as well as other local jurisdictions on multiple times and have been accepted as an expert.
And the board has previously accepted Ms. Grow as an expert and will accept her in the field of architecture and for this application.
Thank you.
Lightning cases are good standard.
Yes, all like
That better be.
getting my last CEU credits done before July, the end of July. Right. Question back.
Okay. Mary, what do you want?
Okay, I'm
Please.
gonna start with, an amendment, that I would like to hand out probably prior, just, the back porch. We shrunk a little bit. We were too close to the pool. Mr. Billing was kind enough to note that as a comment on his review. So we have shrunk that back porch. So I have these amended drawings here, so that they could be incorporated into the record.
Please.
We'll mark that as A1, and it's how many pages?
3 pages. I'll review it.
Michael, you've seen it.
Not yet.
Tonight, we're here for a side yard, an enhanced side yard setback variance,
Okay.
and a pre-existing non-conforming lot size. So you'll note, if you look at our SK1, where we have our zoning table, we're in the AAA zone. We're required to have 40,000 square feet, and the existing lot is 129. The existing side yard setbacks are 27.7 and 37.9. We're proposing an addition off the rear of the home, and we're building in a rectilinear fashion off the rear of the home. And we're extending the room in the back left corner for the family room to expand the family breakfast kitchen area. We're rearranging the mudroom and the laundry and powder room to create a mudroom entrance, which is very typical for homes on this street. The house sits a little bit to the left of the property, and we are extending that 27.7 foot side of the house. We're going straight up, just single story though, not 2 stories. When we add the extra square footage to the house, that side yard setback requirement becomes 29.4. But it is good to note that the floor area ratio, we're allowed 21.6%, and we're at 13.5. So the square footage that we're building is still well below what the lot can carry. And it's just a couple of feet for 1 story that we're adding into that enhanced setback. Pretty much whatever they add on, because of the location of the house and the undersized lot, whatever they add on to the house, is going to trigger that enhanced side yard setback because it's an existing building. If you were to go down the street, if you're familiar with the street, this house is very in keeping in scale and size and aesthetic with all the other homes. I believe they were built like in the early 90s, late 80s, something like that. So in conjunction with the addition, no trees will be taken down. There will be some shrubbery that will be removed, that will be replaced in kind, or something, some ground plants along there. The sheet that I added tonight, you'll see that we reduced the width of the back porch. There's a covered back porch between the addition of the house and the pool. We reduced that width, so we're maintaining that 10 feet from that deck structure to the pool. We do not want to see the variance for that. So that has been amended. Mr. Reland's letter also asked about siding materials. As of now, we're going to match the siding because we don't have pricing on everything. So I don't want to commit to something until we get pricing. There's the possibility that maybe the house will be resided in Hardy or something, but as of now, we're going to match the existing siding. As far as lighting, we will have lights outside of all the doors, no floodlights or trans. Landscape I spoke about, and tree removal. And the air conditioning equipment is on that left side currently. I believe it can be maintained. Something may be moved temporarily and then put back, but they're all going to sit on that.
The plan is to leave it on that side. Okay. Michael, if you would, please.
Yeah, and this is
Mary, if that's okay.
the board. The board has seen a number of these types of applications where the additional gross building area triggers an enhanced side yard setback and expands the side yard setback. In this particular application, as Mary said, it's a single family. I mean, it's a single story addition on the short side, and most of the addition is going to be to the rear. I don't think it's an egregious amount of reduction in the enhanced side yard setback. And, should the board approve it, we laid out, some conditions that the board may want to consider in section 4.6 of our report. Generally, the standard comments that we have regarding addressing stormwater, making sure that, the soil erosion sediment control measures in place, suggesting that the water and the sewer service be checked. This as an opportunity to check the water and the sewer service just to the property, and that will provide conclusion of construction.
I don't have any problem
Mm,
with on
yeah.
all that.
Okay. All right. Any further comment, Michael? That's it?
No.
Okay, thank you. Board members?
I don't really have any questions, just the general comment. I mean, your plans are always very, very descriptive. As one member, I'm very appreciative that you did what you did to the back porch and shrunk it a little bit to try to avoid variances. We always try to encourage applicants and residents to try to, do as least amount of variances as possible. It's just a benefit to you. So, I mean, I'm very appreciative. I mean, the only comment question would be, so any new leaders or drains that they would not be pitched towards your neighbor's property?
That's not a problem.
Okay. Other than that, I don't have any issues at all.
Any other board members?
I just have a question for Mike. Mike, are we requiring, seepage pits to keep all the water of the, rainwater on site or not?
We would have them take a look at the differential in the impervious coverage and address whatever additional runoff may be attributable to that increase. I think there are roof leaders that go into some underground piping, and there are some.
If it exists, it'd be nice to tie everything in.
I wasn't considering putting the whole roof area in this particular application, but whatever is attributable to the increase in impervious coverage.
And when we're building a basement, we usually recommend it to the client as well.
Yeah, because I noticed like the basement plan, I guess the larger room, you're undersided, but the other side looks like you're gonna make the basement a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Any other board members? No.
No.
I'll open it to the public. Any public comment? Okay, seeing none, I bring it back to the board.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion based on the testimony and the recommendations that the applicant has agreed to in our normal language that we approve the application.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Linda, can we have a roll call, please?
Board Member Petrino,
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio.
Yes.
Board Member Gallo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Silico,
Yes.
Mayor Wilsinski.
Yes.
Alternate Rosella,
Yes.
alternate Butler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's approved,
Yes.
and, you didn't even get to testify like
Yeah.
in court, like a.
Right.
You can, you want to testify?
Say something.
There you go.
But anyway, the application is approved. It was memorialized at the July 19th meeting. So you can apply for permits and do things like that, but no permits will be issued until the memorialization resolution is passed at the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And
Okay, so-
I'd just like to note that, Kevin will be greatly missed.
Yeah.
Many years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
The
he'll always,
shock.
he remembers when I come in.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. The final agenda item for tonight is Veolia Water, 664 West Crescent, block 1503.01, lot 6. It's an application it's a preliminary and final site plan and variance relief for a temporary water treatment facility to be added in the northeast corner of the property. So,
Where would you
well-
like her to have the easel with the? Usually we put it.
Yeah,
usually
put it
we
over-
go there.
Yeah, as long as it
Council
doesn't
is,
block the camera.
Going through the setup, I can report that I have reviewed the notice that was presented and the mailings that were issued to the 200 feet list and the utilities and county road here. And they are in order. The publication was also in order. So the application is properly noticed and published, and the board has jurisdiction to proceed. I think probably the best way.
Thank you.
Let me just, this one ready. Yeah, sure. Yep.
Yeah.
So the service and publication is proper. I will just note for the record that board member Petrino has recused himself from this application, and he will take a seat in the audience due to personal reasons on this. And but otherwise, we're ready to proceed. And I think the best way to start would be to have Mr. Basong just give an overview of what you're going to present, how you're going to present it, who you're going to present this evening, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair.
Perfectly fine. We don't have to do any swearing on. We're good.
He's the attorney.
Whatever.
Go right ahead.
Please, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
Chairman, members of the board. My name's Craig Bossong. I'm with the law firm Florio, Perucci, Steinhardt, Kelly, Kitchen, and Taylor. I'm here representing Veolia Water, New Jersey, Incorporated this evening. As your agenda states, this is for a temporary PFAS treatment system to address the PFAS in the water system until a permanent system can be installed, which will take a little bit of time, but will be installed in the future. And as soon as that system is installed, what we're presenting tonight will actually be removed and demolished from the site. But in order to address the PFAS immediately, we get this temporary treatment system in place. It takes a lot quicker to get installed, and we get it in place so that we can address that. The site selection that you'll hear from the engineer this evening is right next to an existing well on a residential property. And what we did was we worked with the residents, got their permission, entered into a license agreement in order to construct this, and have worked with them in making sure that the access to the property, nothing will be impeded during the course of construction. The existing well on site is contained in a small shed that's on the property, and our plan is to sort of match that shed for this existing system so that it doesn't look out of place and that it all blends into the environment on the site. We've tried to keep the temporary structure as small as possible, only to fit what we need there. And this way, it's not any, intrusive. It's behind the existing shed, the existing wellhead, and therefore we try to make it as minimalist as possible. As you know, public utilities are a permitted use in all the zones within the borough. However, there are a few variances that we have to request. This is considered an accessory building, and as I stated, there's an existing shed on the property that contains a wellhead. So technically, this will be a second accessory building, and you have an ordinance that says your accessory buildings have to be at least 6 feet apart. And we're trying to push these as close together as possible. So it's going to be a lot less than 6 feet. It's almost going to be connected to the existing wellhead.
But it will be separate.
It will be separate for the purpose of, because it could be removed.
Got it.
We could have designed it as one, but that would just been harder than to remove it. The borough also only allows one accessory building per lot. Because this is going to be a second, so we need a variance for that. And lastly, there's a pre-existing condition related to the front yard setback for the existing building. There's a 40-foot setback in the zone. I note that this is a unique lot where it's narrow, where the frontage is, and it sort of curves around. And the house that sits in the back is only about 11 feet off what would be the front property line. But more importantly, where the existing wellhead and structure is
not set back from the road 40 feet. So technically, with a pre-existing condition, we're not exacerbating it at all because we're putting this temporary structure immediately behind the existing shed, but it is a pre-existing condition. There might be one other variance that's needed that I reviewed. You have an ordinance that says that no accessory buildings can be located in the front yard. However, with the way this lot is designed, obviously, we have the existing building in the, if you would consider the front yard. I don't know how you would calculate the front yard in the sense that it's a narrow frontage that sort of curves, and whether you would carry that setback down along the front, or if it would be a straight line across. So if the board determines that this is in the front yard, we would request that variance. And I did notice for any additional variances that might arise. I have one witness to call tonight. It's the engineer from Mott McDonald who helped to design this project. We also have a representative from Beyond here if anybody has any type of operational questions that need addressed or they wanted to make sure. So unless there's any questions with me, I'd like to call the engineer, Margie Gray from Mott McDonald.
Very good. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth through the course of this application? And you've done that before, right? Can you tell us your name, address, and qualifications?
Yes, well, actually, my full name is Janice Margaret Gray. I go by Margie. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey for 18 years now. I'm a civil engineer by education, bachelor's and master's.
Your license is current and good standing?
Is current and in good standing, yes.
You've been accepted by boards in jurisdictions near in Bergen County as an expert in the field of engineering?
Beyond the state of New Jersey.
No,
in the first time within New Jersey Tech Club.
Oh, okay. All right.
She is licensed in good standing.
Okay. In the state of New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Might be other qualifications on that.
Okay, just one thing before you go. Are you able to hear?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, and I just want to make sure that we have everything properly captured. Thank you.
I can speak loud.
Press the button, is that?
Yeah.
So Ms. Gray will be accepted as an expert in the field of engineering, civil engineering, for the course of this application.
Thank you.
Okay, if I may begin, you prepared, or somebody under your direction prepared a set of plans that have been submitted to the board this season?
Yes.
And I believe they're dated April 2023?
Yes.
Okay. So if we want to start, we can look at sheet C101, which is the existing conditions. Can you please describe where the existing wellhead is and where the existing home is located on the property?
Yes, in that upper left-hand corner, you see the long curved property where he's talking about. It's a little under an acre. And the home is in the lower portion down here, and our wellhead is really right up in the northeast corner, a small area is where we're limited to working on.
And the wellhead is close to and adjacent to the roadway, right?
That's correct. The roadway is right here, and our wellhead is right here, well house right above it. And the blow up of the area, just because in order to show the whole site, we had to zoom out pretty far, but the zooming into what's actually right at the well site, we have a retaining wall. There's a gravel drive area for access to the site, and then the small well structure that's about a little bit of it's 130 some square feet, a little under 12 by 12 foot well structure.
And the area we're talking about sort of sticks to the length of the driveway and curves up to the back and goes back. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if you want to return to sheet C102 for the proposed site plan.
And counsel, just for the record, the exhibits that you showed are the same ones submitted here.
That's part of your package.
Very good, thank you.
like on C1 and 2, the proposed site plan. Can you point out where the proposed improvements are gonna be located?
Yes, so as was stated previously, we're planning to register immediately adjacent to behind the existing structure. So you have the road on this side, and we're immediately behind it, about 12, a little under 12 foot by 15-foot structure.
And it was the size of the structure was designed, as I stated, to only make the equipment that's needed for the temporary.
Yes, we kept it as small as we possibly could and also as short as we possibly could. We wanted to try and get it to kind of fit behind as best we could, and we didn't want it to take up any more space than necessary. Temporary structure, wanted to minimize the disturbance.
And did we add any landscaping in order to at least provide some shielding for the property?
Yes, we did add some landscaping on the backside toward the side of the house to provide a little bit of shielding from. It's fairly flat site, so there's really very minimal grading, just enough to kind of maintain the slope around the building. And just around the outside. So very, very compact, limited disturbance.
And now if we can get to the colorized to show exactly what's going on, I think the board would like to see these. It will hopefully be the final product. Can you walk us through what's there, what's existing, what's temporary, how that works?
Right. So in this rendering, the area in front is the existing shed structure. And just immediately behind it, with a little bit of a gap, is the temporary structure that we're building. We're going to try and match the aesthetic of the existing structure. You'll notice it's just a little bit taller. That's just, we have just minimal clearance above our treatment equipment. We try to keep it as short as we could. So the slightly taller structure in back is what the new facility will look like, temporary.
And is there any lighting proposed for the building?
There's lighting above the door proposed. It'll be pointing downward, just for security safety purposes.
On a switch, manually operated, what type of?
It will be a dusk to dawn, have a photo cell on it.
And it'll comply with any lighting codes that the borough has?
Yeah, the distance that it will project will be minimal.
Now, this is an unmanned site, meaning that nobody's here on a daily basis, right?
Correct.
So if there's a problem with the system, the main headquarters is alerted somehow?
Yes, there's the Veolia Water New Jersey control center will be able to monitor if there are any issues at the site and come out and address them.
And now looking at that design, would you say that it was designed to create the least amount of detriment to the area?
Absolutely. Yes, we tried to keep it as small as we could. We have flood vents in the bottom to allow storm drainage to go through it underneath the structure. And yeah, in terms of the aesthetics, we tried to blend it in with the aesthetics. And like I said, it is temporary. It's going to be taken down once it's done. So long term, it won't even be there.
And the benefits are obviously that it will help with the PFAS in the system that needs to be addressed, like required by people.
Absolutely, yeah. The whole purpose is for safe drinking water for the borough of Allendale.
What's the anticipated time for the board's edification of the permanent system being put in place?
The anticipated timeframe is third quarter of 2027.
And then once that's...
Wait, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? What was it?
The anticipated timeframe for the permanent system to be in place.
2027, that's permanent.
Permanent.
Third quarter.
Yeah. And then as soon as we have confirmation that the permanent system is up and running, the temporary structure will be taken out.
Correct.
I have no further questions.
And that comes down and it reverts back to what is currently there.
Correct. There might be some additional system improvement for the entire system that might affect this, but that would be subject to potentially a review act.
Questions from the board?
I have a couple of questions. So I noticed in your details, you show some inlet details. Maybe I missed them on the drawings. Are you putting in drainage inlets?
Yeah. The flood, are you talking about the flood vents in the building? In the foundation?
Well, I'm talking about your detail section. Or maybe these are just standard details. All right. On C502, you show details for inlet sediment control devices. Inlets. Are you proposing to put anything in the property? Or are they just standard
No,
details?
this is just during construction to any protections that are needed. This is standard details that generally placed on that in case they're needed.
Okay. So you said you're gonna put some landscaping, as your drawing shows, you're gonna put in a few shrubs, it looks like,
Mhm.
along the easement on the back part of the temporary building. So when the temporary building comes down, if those are still healthy and alive, do they stay or do you take them out?
Yeah,
They'll stay.
Okay. Would it be reasonable to ask if you could put in a few more to kind of block the existing building as well? Just to shield a little bit more from the existing home that's to the south?
Yeah, that should be a problem. We come up with that, we do have a floodway issue that we have to stay
As best
out
as
of,
we could.
but wherever we can, we'll absolutely put some more landscaping.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's existing, but there's an opportunity to kind of dress the site and make it a little nicer for residents. It would be great. So I know the one drawing, it shows a proposed parking easement. Is that a temporary parking area or is that gonna be just during construction or is that something where you need to maintain as long as it's gotta get serviced?
It's just a temporary parking easement that is going on the side of the building, referring to on C101. Yes, that's a temporary parking easement for during construction.
Okay. You addressed the questions I had with the lighting. I mean, I would assume there's just gonna be just a simple little roof leader coming straight down off the roof or probably nothing that just drips down. Or,
In the soffit.
okay. That was really all the questions that I kind of had. Is that, so your rendering, is that wall, that little wall, is that there?
So it's like a soffit.
No, the wall, the little retaining wall, is that, does that exist?
Yeah, there's existing retaining wall.
Okay, and that's not getting touched, that's staying as is, you're not enhancing that wall?
No, we're not.
Okay. That's all the questions I have right now. Thank you.
Other board members? Okay. Please, Michael?
So usually when we take a look at these C variances, right, we take a look at them from the C1 hardship criteria or the C2 benefit test. Most of the ones that come before us kind of fall squarely in the C1. I would suggest this one probably falls a little bit squarely in the C2 criteria. Where you look at an application relating to a specific piece of property. When they say specific piece of property, the meaning of the statute considers the condition of the lot and how it's distinguished from other lots in the zone. So here you have a lot that's developed with a residential use that also has a public supply well within the easement. So you have two uses on the lot. So I think that distinguishes it from most of the other lots in that zone. And then the next thing you take a look at is, the purposes of the municipal land use law advanced by the deviation. And I would say, the purpose A to promote public health, safety, morals, and the general welfare seems to fit pretty squarely with what they're proposing to do here. And, the other criteria that you take a look at is, that the benefits of the deviation outweigh any potential negative impacts. And looking at what they're proposing, the fact that it's a temporary facility, it's a relatively small facility, can blend in with the existing structure out there, I couldn't really identify any detriments. So I would suggest that, you know, the board consider this in light of the C2 criteria instead of the C1.
I think that's a correct analysis. The benefits versus detriments variance is a a unique use and a unique property and unique part of this application. So not only is there an existing structure there or well at the site, you really can't argue with the fact that this is a benefit to the community. It is required, but it is a benefit. You have to put it somewhere, right?
Right.
So I do think that the C2 variance criteria would be the correct analysis, and just from an objective point of view, that the criteria are likely met in this circumstance.
Agree. Any other comments from anybody?
Ask a question about that. Maybe I'm premature, but just a question about when you remove this thing into 2027. I don't know if that's something I can ask now, or is that gonna be? So you said when it comes out, you're gonna restore back to what was there. Now there's a little bit of, I guess, foundation, right, that this thing sits on. Is that gonna be completely removed, or do you intend to leave that at grade and just take the building structure down?
Remove.
Okay.
Right.
Great.
Remove and restore.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Bill?
I think the criteria have been met. The applicant has presented sufficient evidence unless they have any other witnesses.
No other witnesses.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Anybody in the public have any comment? Frank, any comment? All right. Seeing none, bringing it back to the board. Any further comments from anybody on the board? Okay. Can we have anybody care to offer for approval?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the application based on the testimony and the additional landscaping that the applicant has said that they would do in compliance with anything that our borough engineer has asked.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mayor. Linda, roll call.
This is point of order. I was just put in the resolution that the applicant to work with the borough engineer in the field on additional landscaping as required or suggested.
Perfect.
Thank you.
As amended.
Thank you.
Councilman Delavatio,
Yes.
Board Member Gallo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Sirico.
Yes.
Actually, it's not Vice Chairman anymore.
Yeah.
Chairman
That's
Sirico.
okay.
Mayor Wilsinski.
Yes.
Alternate Rosella.
Yes.
Alternate Butler.
Yes.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank
All
you.
right, so the
I was very impressed you remembered all the names in your firm. That was.
So,
And the resolution was memorialized at the July 19th, 2023 meeting.
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
I know there's transcripts with it sometimes, so
My wife's an attorney, so it's like, I know you gotta remember stuff.
thank you very much.
Have a good night.
All right. As we normally do, if there's any updates, Bill?
The only update, so the land use committee, we met 2 weeks ago. We did have some follow-up on some additional checking our code. We did have some discussion about the planting and mediation of bamboo, which I'm working to get something to our borough attorney to propose a resolution and an ordinance on that. I did complete preliminarily our application for residents, that kind of like a cheat sheet that makes it a little simpler. I did submit it to the committee members and Mr. Botta for review and comment, and Mr. Brino. I am waiting back for some additional comments from some people, and we can make some modifications if necessary, some changes, and hopefully unveil that. So, applicants like we had this today, they have some additional advanced information and they could come a little bit more prepared, and it's not as overwhelming of a process as it can be sitting in that seat.
Thank you.
So other than that, we're still continuing to slowly review sections of our code, and we'll update as needed.
There's some conversation too about bamboo.
Yeah.
I know you're working on it, so.
Yeah, I said that. I got to propose.
The
Proposing
proposal on
some
the
language
bamboo.
to
Thank you,
Mr.
for the
Weiss,
bamboo
yeah.
stuff. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments? One last thing I have to do is I have to open it up to the public for any comments. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board, just make it official. Anything else to discuss?
I can just give a quick update on 220. We're
Thank
still
you.
moving along. The current contractor that is there, we are working with to put our foundation as well as the footings, because we just think it's going to be cleaner. So we did have to go back to our structural engineers and revise the plan. So we're looking to go to bid in the next 2 weeks. And it should be a lot cleaner, which is our building just popping right up on the foundation. If you look at the building now, they already have windows in, they already have bricks in. They're going a little too fast, actually.
Moving along.
Because our building is going to be attached to theirs, and our building is much prettier than their building. So a lot of the residents are a little up in arms that it looks like this big, ugly 2 towers, which I agree it does. But actually, our architect did say, because it is so close to the street, that with the angles that we have, you won't see it as much. I mean, certain sides, of course, but for the most part, you won't really see it from the street. So we're looking forward to getting to that next point.
Mayor, I just wanted to say, just want to express thanks. I went to your town hall. Thank you for that. Very informative meeting between you
You're welcome.
and Councilman Holman on that. So thank you very much for the time you spent on that. Okay, I don't want to belabor this. I just want to say thank you to everybody. My first one all the way through. Hopefully we'll improve them. All right.
You made it.
We have a motion to, what is it, close the meeting, end the meeting?
Adjourn.
Adjourn the meeting.
Adjourn.
Thank you. Adjourn. Thank you, Mayor. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. No opposed. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Have a great night. We'll see you in a month.
Congratulations.